What propels a human to commit the incomprehensible? How is it possible that a normal life can be led by one person and that of a ruthless killer by another? As fascinating as it might be, the world of serial killers reminds us that evil lurks behind the most normal faces. With this video, we will analyze the top 10 cases of true crime that shook the very foundations of the United States. These cases are not mere expressions of violence. They speak more of the intelligence, the passion, and the terror instilled by the very fact of living under the threat of these predators. We will go back in the lives of those infamous individuals who became famous names and the not-so-well-known ones who left equally terrible traces. Each of these cases provides a glimpse into the minds of those who have perpetrated such crimes. Throughout the journey, as we unravel the mystery of who they are, what crimes have they committed, and finally, how the sweat of investigators led them to be brought to justice, you will experience a journey of levity, shock, and morbid curiosity about the very nature of humanity. So join us as we travel to the nightmare cases associated with the very fabric of American crimes, each more confusing, more terrifying, and more revolting than the one before. Ted Bundy, the charming killer. One of the most notorious serial killers in American history is Ted Bundy, who was infamous for his charisma and intellect, and for his very gruesome acts. Born in 1946, Bundy looked normal and even handsome, and he used this to deceive young women. His killing sprees occurred in the early 1970s and occurred in various states such as Washington, Utah, and Florida. The modus operandi employed by Bundy was calculated. He often posed as someone who needed help with an injury and posed as a police officer to gain his victims' trust. Once he did, he then killed them and caused their families and communities much pain. The police found it very difficult to join his crimes because Bundy kept moving and misleading them. Arrested in 1975, he escaped twice before being finally caught for good. His trial was very sensational, and this showed that Ted Bundy was very manipulative, as evident in his court performances and very gruesome confessions later on. He confessed to killing over 30 women, but this figure may be much higher. John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown case of John Wayne Gacy, the case of John Wayne Gacy, known as the killer clown, shocked the country with his dual life. Born in 1942 in Chicago, Gacy was an integral part of his community, even performing at children's birthday parties as Pogo the Clown. However, this kind-hearted image was justified as he had a dark and violent life, enticing young men to his residence, which he would then torture and murder. Between 1972 to 1978, he murdered at least 33 males, interring them in the crawl space of his very own residence. However, his crimes remained undiscovered for years because of his veneer of respectability, making it easy for him to fool his neighbors and law enforcers as well. It was instead through a tip given by concerned parents that finally led to the police raid on his residence, which exposed his heinous acts. The case of Gacy shocked the entire country in his trial, demonstrating how one seemingly respectable appearance could conceal his pure and utter malevolence. He was sentenced to death and finally executed in 1994, leaving behind his dark legacy. His case remains to this day as one of the many examples of demonstrating how one's utter malevolence could manifest in one's seemingly respectable mask. Aileen Wuornos. The roadside killer Aileen Wuornos is also remembered as another infamous female serial killer in American history. Born in 1956 in Michigan, the early life of Wuornos had been tumultuous, involving sexual and physical abuse, thereby creating her distrust in men and society in general. In 1989, Wuornos started killing men on highways in Florida, citing reasons for her acts as defending herself against sexual attacks. These acts shocked the nation, as these crimes broke the stereotypes surrounding male serial killers. Wuornos killed 7 men in a span of a year, who usually targeted her while engaging in sex work. The police initially thought the murders had no connection, but her erratic conduct and rising evidence against her led to her arrest in 19... Wuornos received worldwide media attention, sparking debates surrounding her psychological issues, her sexual and physical abuse, and justice. She received the death sentence and was subsequently executed in 2002. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez, alias the Night Stalker, robbed the state of California of its peace of mind in the mid-1980s SE. Ramirez was born in 1960. His life began with violence and crime surroundings, which some scholars consider the root of his later cruel deeds. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez forcibly entered residencies engaging in murder, rape, and burglary. His criminal endeavors were both unpredictable and violent. The residents of California lived in a state of hysteria as a result of his activities. Ramirez escaped the clutches of the law as he roamed the neighborhoods. However, he was eventually arrested in 1985 after being overpowered by some courageous civilians. Ramirez's court proceedings were characterized by his display of satanic rituals and a complete remorselessness of his victims. Therefore, the jury sentenced him to death in 1989. Ramirez spent the remaining years of his life in jail until 2013, when he died. The life of Richard Ramirez serves as a sober reminder of the unexpected nature of human badness. Jeffrey Dahmer, cannibal killer. Jeffrey Dahmer was another notorious serial killer from America who left the world breathless with his horrific deeds. Born in 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Dahmer was an antisocial individual with an affinity for death from his early years. Between 1978 and 1991, he lured young men into his apartment, killing, dissecting, and even indulging in cannibalism with regard to some of his victims, until he was intercepted by the police from a potential victim who had managed to escape from his lair. Upon breaking into his apartment, the police discovered horrific scenes with body parts and photos of his immoral deeds littered all over the place. Confessing to 17 murder charges, Dahmer revealed his compulsions and couldn't resist his urge to commit these heinous acts of violence. Dahmer was later sentenced with multiple life terms. However, his life was cut short in 1994 when he was murdered in prison. His intriguing life has made him an intriguing subject within the realm of criminology studies, portraying the aspects of mental illness evil, along with the missed signals of his earlier warnings of potential violent behavior. As we have observed from these frightening tales, the world of serial killers is both terrifying and intriguing. Each event is a reminder that the darker side of human nature is always lurking, hidden behind a veil of ordinary lives. Of these 10 tales, we have merely caught a glimpse into the minds of some of the most famous criminals throughout American history. Their legacy lives on today. If you enjoyed watching this engaging video and have a taste for more tales from the world of true crime, be sure to click that like button and subscribe for more upcoming videos. We would also be more than happy to hear what you have to say. Do you have a favorite among these frightening tales? Perhaps we could explore that case further. Your participation is what leads us down the path towards creating more captivating and informative true crime videos for you. Thank you for watching, and do not forget that these frightening tales have taught us something.